Good morning, guys, and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Mandy, and you can find me on the internet as Mandy Von Knits on Instagram, Ravelry, and now I'm on Goodreads. Okay, I am super excited because we've been flying through December. I'm filming this on a Saturday, so you guys are going to see it next Tuesday. So right now in Mandy's world, it is December 7th. So next week, it will not be December 7th anymore. At least I hope not. And we will be even farther into December. So I hope you guys are as excited as I am. The quicker we get done with December, the quicker summer's here, right? Okay, so this is my knitting podcast. Like I said, I am a 39-year-old woman from southeastern Michigan, and I live here with my husband, my son, and my 2 kiddos. And I have been knitting or crocheting for a long time now. So with that being said, this is my space where I come to talk to you guys about all of the fiber arts that I've been up to throughout last week, the patterns that I've stumbled across, and by stumbled I mean the patterns that I've seen released last week, the patterns that people have messaged me about on Instagram to say, hey, have you seen this? This is really cool. Or just patterns that I've found as I've been kind of lurking through the depths of all the Ravelry patterns in their library, looking at different things and just pulling things out that I think sound pretty cool. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please stick around. I would love to have you. So the first thing that you should know for any newbies here is that on this pattern, I give away a pattern prize a week. So in order to enter for the pattern prize, the only thing you have to do is just leave a comment down below. The comment can be about anything you want. Please make it nice. Don't make me cry. It wouldn't be a good thing. So the other 2 rules are that the pattern price must be under $15 USD, and you can only win once a month. So I put that second rule in just so that it's fair for people, so the same person doesn't keep winning over and over again. So for everybody who entered last week by leaving a comment down below, I am going to leave a blank spot right here. And that is where the winner of last week's prize should be. So if that was you, please reach out to me on either Instagram or Ravelry, and I'm Mandy Von Knits there. Now, if you can't use Ravelry, let me know, and we can try to come up with an alternative for you so that I can get you your pattern. When you do reach out to me, just let me know what pattern that you want, and I will be sure to gift it to you. Okay, now with all of that admin said, I'm going to start off by talking about the sweater that I am wearing. This is a pullover, and for anyone who has been here for a while, you should recognize this. This is the Kylie pullover, and this is by Irene Lynn Designs. And I knit this, first of all, this pattern is done in worsted weight yarn. It is a cable and lace pullover, and I knit this in Uru Yarn Glimmer. And the color is Toasty, and the color was a Knit Crate exclusive that I bought off of Jimmy Bean's Wool because they must have somehow gotten it whenever Knit Crate got rid of it. So I love this yarn because it is, let's see, I believe it's a 90% wool and 10% Stellita, which means that it's super sparkly, and I love that because I am all about sparkly and happiness. Now, I really did enjoy knitting this pattern. I actually knit this one kind of cropped, and I say kind of because I'm short, so if a person of average height put this on, it would most definitely be cropped. But for me, it kind of goes down to like cover up maybe this much of my thigh whenever I'm wearing it and sitting down. I'm sorry I'm not standing up. If you're new here, I'm paralyzed, so I'm not purposely trying to just sit here and avoid showing you the rest of the sweater. It's just, it is what it is. But this yarn is super soft and squishy, and I had a lot of fun knitting it. I did enjoy the pattern. From what I remember, it was pretty clearly written out, and I also remember that when I saw this pattern, I fell in love with it and knew that I had wanted to make it. I had gotten the Uru yarn from Jimmy Bean's Wool, and I got a really good deal on it. It was quite a bit of yarn and kind of like a bulk pack for, I believe, $50. So that's awesome. Whenever you can get sparkly, pink, glittery yarn for $60, that's cool. So I did appreciate getting that, and now I appreciate and love wearing it. I have some more of this yarn, and I am thinking of making a sweater that I found that was released about 3 or 4 months ago, maybe a half of a year ago. It's called the Saji sweater, and it's beautiful, and I think that it would just shine in this yarn. I'll try to remember to put up a picture right here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, now on to my knitting for the last week. I am going to start with the project that you guys have already seen, because, spoiler alert, I have started my Advent striped pullover, and I got accepted for a test knit, and I love it, and this test knit is going to be so much fun. But first, before I get ahead of myself, I'm going to show you the simple sweater that I am making for my daughter. So, this is the simple sweater, and of course I have yarn coming from the sleeves, so I'm going to tuck that behind, and I have the body done. Got to kind of straighten it out here. I have the body done, and I am working on the sleeves. Now this fade is awesome. Pink, yellow, blue, all pastel, beautiful colors. What is not to love? This yarn was dyed from Mandy at Mousewitch Yarn, and my daughter is very excited to wear it. I had her try it on last night, and I'll put up a picture here, and it fits her pretty good. It is not as big on her as I thought it would be, which is good, but also kind of bad, because I wanted it to last for like 4 years because, you know, it's a fingering weight. So, but anyways, whenever she's grown out of it, I'm sure we can find somebody else to gift it to. I'm very excited how it's turning out. So you can just see the hints of blue. I believe what I am going to do, and I did this, if you guys have watched previously, I did this with my son's Christmas sweater. I knit the body just like this, and then I picked up and knit both arms. I did them both at the same time, concurrently, so that I was able to get the fades just right. And then once the sleeves were the correct length and I bound off, I had yarn left. So I'm like, okay, I'm taking out the bottom ribbing. I am adding more, as much as I can get away with, as much as I can eke out of this yarn, I'm adding that to the length. And I finished that sweater, and I swear I must have had like this much yarn left. So I'm very happy with it, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be doing the same thing with this. So this is not too long on her, so even if I do end up adding maybe even 2.5 inches, it'll be okay. And I'm excited to get this done. Like I said, it's December 7th, so I definitely have time, but this has kind of been flying off the needles. This pattern is the simple sweater from Tin Can Knits, and it is a circular yoke pattern. And I don't know if the increases are going to show up on camera or not, but I will put up the picture of my daughter wearing it again because it's pretty obvious whenever she's wearing it. You can see where the increases are along the yoke. So it is a circular yoke pattern that is written to any gauge. And I am all about that. And the sizes are from newborn to like 5 to 6X. That's awesome. So it was well worth the money for the pattern. And I can definitely see knitting these for little kids in my life, for babies in my life, or maybe even making one for myself. I'm not sure yet because I have like a list like this long of things I want to knit for myself. So I guess we'll see. Okay, I told you guys that I got accepted to do a test knit. Now, previous viewers will remember that I believe during the summer, I want to say the summer, sometime during the summer, I did a test knit for the Willow Pullover from Andrea Gone. Well, she put out another call for test knitters, and this time it was for an all-over colorwork sweater. And it's called the Wildflower Pullover, I believe. And I will put up the name and the designer and then a picture of what the finished sweater is going to look like. But obviously there's only that one picture because we're testing it right now. So I got accepted to the test knit last Monday and I got all of the information for the pattern and I started by making a swatch. Now, whenever I saw this pattern and realized that steeking was involved, because you steek the neck and the armholes, I'm pretty sure that you do the neck as well. I know you do the armholes. So whenever I saw that, I started thinking about what type of yarn I could use because it's fingering weight yarn. So I grabbed out this. This is Holst Tides, and this is 70% wool and 30% silk. Now, this particular color is called Old Rose, and if you guys are familiar with Holst, they make super soft, which also comes on a cone. So this is like super soft, but it's softer. So this is my swatch and it's going to look kind of crumpled and I'll show you why in a second, but here we go. So I'm trying to figure out what color combination I want. Do I want this color combination or this color combination? Now, if you know anything about me, you know I want this color combination. I mean, I am all about heavy contrast. But like part of me kind of likes this blue. I think that if this were darker, I would be totally for it. In fact, I think if this one were darker, I would probably use all three. But as it is right now, I'm kind of having a hard time visually focusing, or rather not focusing on this color. It seems to me like it's hard for my eyes to make out what it is. So say if I were doing the pullover in this color and I used that blue and the white, I think that that would be okay. But this blue on this cream colored background is just too much for me. So I'm really leaning for this, which is ironic because when I first started swatching, I thought I was gonna go for this because I had thought that it would look nicer. Blue, black, and white I thought would look pretty nice. But the problem is the blue is just too light. So this is the motif on the sweater, and I guess it doesn't look that bad, but I really like how in your face these two colors are. There's something about that. So I actually fake knit this in the round. And if you guys aren't familiar with what that is, it means that I wanted to do my gauge swatch in the round without casting on as many stitches as I needed to knit in the round. So it looks all nice here, but look. So what you basically do is after you're done knitting the row, you push the yarn all the way to the other side and then just strand it along the back and make sure there's not enough give. And I think it worked out pretty well. It worked enough at least to give me a good idea of what my gauge was going to be and to be able to see how the colors were going to play together. Man, if I had that in a darker color, I would totally be loving all four, like 3 of these colors. There's not 4. I read a meme the other day. My friend Sarah sent it to me. She said that if there's one thing crocheting has taught me, it's that I can't count. And I very much believe that because I am constantly reminded of that throughout my knitting and crochet journey. But I'm super excited for this. Last night as I was knitting it, as I was thinking about casting on a gauge swatch, I started thinking, well, maybe I should just turn it into a hat. And then I'm like, but I don't really want to make 125 stitches around and have to repeat it. So I should just swatch. So I ended up just swatching. And I feel like I probably would have turned this pattern into a hat to practice my gauge because it would have been easier in a different way than this. Or at least I would have been knitting to have more of a finished item. But with all of like the knitting advent stuff going on, I couldn't do it. I tried. This time of year is so overwhelming for me. I know that here in like the YouTube universe, we've got Vlogmas going on, and like I get so overwhelmed by it, and I try to keep up as best as I can, but honestly, on Friday nights into like Saturday afternoons is when I catch up with the vlogs that I watch. And then by like Saturday evening, I'm behind again. So it is what it is. This is the time that I am trying to study for an AWS certification. So I haven't had as much time to sit down and watch podcasts as I normally do. Okay, let me see if I can. So that is my swatch. And I really do like it. Let me see if I can find a picture of what I am working on. Maybe. I don't know why I'm looking for a picture. I'm going to put a picture up anyway, so ignore that. I'm just going to show you what I made. Oh, I guess I should show you this bag because it's really cute. This is the bag from the Blackbird Sycamore Yarn Advent that I am going to show you that I am knitting up in my Stripebuster. So this mushroom fabric is really cute. And I got to open that on day 1. Her bags are so well made. I love them. Okay, so the Stripebuster is a striped sweater that's knit in pieces. So you've got a front, a back, and then sleeves. Now, this is how either my front or my back looks. Actually, well, I guess I haven't really decided yet. So this is one of the pieces because they both start out the same way. And these colors are in order from bottom up for the Blackbird Sycamore Yarn Advent. And I am striping it with a color called Paper. And I think it's coming out really pretty. Now, some things to mention with this pattern. that I'm not gonna lie, I found kind of odd. So, okay, let me untangle this. So, with the Stripebuster, you start off with ribbing at the bottom because you're working bottom up in pieces. That makes sense. Your gauge for the ribbing, I believe, and I'll correct myself down below if I'm wrong, is 38. It's either 38 or 37 stitches per inch, or not per inch, per 4 inches, which is, I mean, fine. That's fair enough. Now, you work the ribbing in really tiny needles, and you're casting on quite a few stitches. Now, as soon as you get to the stockinette, you're supposed to work a gauge of 27 stitches per 4 inches. So your needle size goes up, but not only that, for my size, I was meant to decrease around like the ballpark of between 40 and 50 stitches. And I thought that that was interesting. So after reading that, I said, okay, cool. I cast on for the third size, I believe, started working the ribbing, realized it was going to be too long. So I took the gauge of my ribbing, I figured out how long my ribbing needed to be. So then I cast that on, I cast that number of stitches on, worked the ribbing, and then moved up my needle size 1. I have been watching my, what am I trying to say? The measurement of my piece, and it has been fine. It has been the correct number of inches that I need. I am going to be very aware of what's happening as I'm increasing and decreasing up above. So that was what I had found with this pattern. Like I said, I've done a lot of sweaters and I've never seen a ribbing. I've never seen it to where you cast on many more stitches, like 50 more stitches for the ribbing than you needed. But maybe it was meant for the ribbing to be tighter. So either way, it was fairly easy to work out, and I love these colors. Now, I want you to take a look at them and see if you notice what I do, which is if you go down here, that first one is variegated, solid, variegated, solid, variegated, solid, variegated. And I love it. But now that I've noticed that, I am the type of person that has to keep it variegated, solid, like keep the color groups together. So when because I'm working on the front side simultaneously to the back side, of course, I haven't gotten as far with the other side as the other side I just showed you. I'm still on the ribbing for this, but that turned out to be a blessing in disguise because I realized that variegated solid was kind of grouping together, so I wanted to kind of keep the same two color families together. But I do like how it's turning out, and I think it's going to be a fun pattern. I think that it's going to come out really pretty, and I love some of these colors. Look. And I think the best part about these colors, and I don't know if I had thought about this last night or if I dreamed about it, but I really want to make my son a muscle burrow out of these colors because I think he would really like them. Look at how nice they are. They go really well with the bag. And I thought that was pretty cool. So that has, like, that Advent project has been what I've been working on mainly. Luckily, as soon as I get done with the other pieces ribbing, it will be going a lot more smoothly. I think the ribbing took the longest because the stripes are 4 rows and plain stockinette is a lot easier for me to knit than twisted ribbing. So once that is all set and done, I should be having no problem. Okay, I am going to talk about patterns because that was all the knitting that I've done this last week. So I told you guys that I would be showing you patterns that previous winners picked. And this was one that was picked recently. It's called the Dissipation Cardigan by Alice Smith. Now, when I saw this, I was immediately reminded of my Hitofude cardigan. And I love the way that this type of cardigan fits. It's almost, I kind of want to call it like a waterfall cardigan, but do you see how it's like a circle skirt? It's so pretty. Now, this is knit in a light fingering weight yarn, and I don't see my Hitofude where I can reach it, otherwise I would show you guys. But if you're curious, you can always go back to a previous episode where I was wearing it. So this is knit in a light fingering weight yarn, and the gauge is 26 stitches and 30 rows. So it says that all proceeds from this pattern will be donated to charitable foundations with an environmental focus. So that is awesome. I love little lacy cardigans, and I think that it's so cute whenever they don't close like that. Okay, let's see what it says. Dissipation, the act or the process of spreading thin or scatter and gradually vanishing. This is my prospect on how the world is nowadays. Sad, I know, but I personally feel we have broken the world to its core. We have overfished our seas, overpolluted our environment, and have microplastics just about everywhere imaginable. I read just this week that if the Earth's temperature rises just 0.4 degrees higher, we have reached the point of no return for this planet. The lace section of this cardigan is meant to represent the ice that is melting in the Arctic. I do hope that we can all do our part and still have a green and thriving planet for future generations to come. For this, all proceeds from this pattern will be donated to charitable foundations that are centered around saving our planet. It says, when choosing your size, I recommend that you look at the schematic and take into account these 2 important measurements, the B to B and the arm width. Please see the full schematics of the tee before making your choice. Now, it looks like the entire skirt of the cardigan is done in lace. It says it's got lace edging, long sleeve, 1 piece, and petite. That's my favorite kind of patterns because, like I mentioned, I'm so short that whenever I see the petite tag, it makes me feel like I won't have to adjust it as much potentially. It says that it's top down as well. Now, I can't speak to this one, but the Hitofude, you basically work from here to the other sleeve, and then you pick up and you knit the skirt. So I was really excited that somebody picked that because I've never seen it before. Okay, now this is another one that somebody picked, and this is also a recent pick. This is the Thistle Thorn Pullover by Lavanya Patricella, and this is done in sport weight yarn. And actually, I should mention that this was picked by Bobblehead Knits, and I love her podcast, and she's doing Vlogmas, so if you are looking for a Vlogmas to watch, I would check her out. Okay, so this is knit in sport weight yarn. The gauge is 24 stitches and 40 rows. So it says that it's knit bottom up and in the round. It uses spin cycle dyed in the wool. And I just think that that's such a pretty design there. This sweater was designed using a fun and engaging 2-color slip stitch pattern, which lends itself perfectly to color changing yarn with a contrasting solid. There is a full range of sizes with lots of notes on how to modify the pattern for a perfect fit, as well as instructions for long or capped sleeves. So the sizes available are between 28 inches and 64 inches. So yeah, that's super pretty as well. I've always wanted to do a spin cycle dyed in the wool, like full sweater, but I know it's not going to happen. Okay, or at least not going to happen anytime soon because I have enough yarn. I have a lot of yarn and I've been trying to use what I have. I'm not always successful, but an attempt was made. Okay, this is actually a pattern that I bought, like, I believe this last week. This is called the 8-Bit Doodle Hat, and this is by Jamie Lomax. So if you guys are familiar with the Doodle Decks, this is a pattern by the designer. And everything about this pattern I had to get because it comes with a bunch of 8-bit video game charts. And yep, I definitely needed a hat pattern or charts with Pac-Man and 8-bit video games because if you know anything about me, you know that we love video games here. It says, this pattern is for my husband and a companion piece to the original cowl. He wanted something inspired by vintage video games that held a special nostalgia to him. He also requested black and neon, which led to a collaboration with Eva, the dyer behind Seismic Yarns. The 8-bit doodle hat is knit in the round using circular needles. It includes a wide 1x1 ribbed brim. It says that the pattern includes 3 pages of vintage video game colorwork motifs. They're intended to inspire some doodles within your knit. Mix and match, swap contrast colors, and fill in solid rows of knit when needed to make them pop. So it says that the motifs include Pac-Man, Space Invaders, and Galaga. So I feel like if I start making these hats, it's going to open up a whole rabbit hole and I'm going to have a bunch of people in my immediate vicinity who are also going to want 8-bit video game hats. Which is either good or bad depending on how much I actually want to knit for myself. But with all that said, I did buy the pattern and I'm looking very much forward to knitting it. And I love her idea and her samples of using black and neon because I feel like I would also use black and neon for them. Okay, so I won a pattern from Mouses Makes podcast. She has like a members Ko-fi and I am a member and I won a pattern this month and I have not been able to get this particular pattern that I am going to show you out of my head since I've seen it. And I picked this one for my prize. So this is the Poinsettia fingerless gloves. Do you see that? Isn't that cool? That is done with short row shaping and it's in garter stitch. So I cannot wait to make these. And I don't know what I'm going to do with about the flower motif in the middle, like what color I'll use, but look at how that's made and put together. I don't know if it's coming up clear or not, but I would go ahead and take a look at the Ravelry page because you knit them flat and then sew them together. It says fingerless gloves are my favorite accessory. And also my favorite piece to knit because they offer so many varieties of constructing. The Poinsettia fingerless gloves are knit flat and in garter stitch. They start with a provisional cast on, are knit flat, and end with grafting. Finally, the side seams have to be sewn together. Since this is an intarsia project that also uses short rows, it can be quite fiddly. Therefore, it's not a beginner pattern. So it says that the PDF pattern is 13 pages long and has row by row written instructions for knitting a mitten one size, including 7 photos of different stages, a pattern chart, and short photo tutorial for the following techniques that are needed to make these mitts: provisional cast on with crochet hook and how to undo it, grafting and garter stitch, short rows with wrap and turn and picking up the wraps, and an explanation on doubly wrapped stitches, intarsia knitting, weaving in yarn while carrying it, backwards and forwards, and crocheted cast off. The instructions are for one size only. However, I knit 2 pairs, one with 2.5 needles and one with 3 millimeter needles. The last photo shows each pair with one mitt already sewn up and one before that step. So I thought that those were so pretty. And it's going to give me such a unique opportunity to use like color changing yarn on those flowers, which I think was what appealed most to me. Plus knitting flat in garter, like in garter stitch, I definitely thought that those gloves were very cool and unique. Okay, so this is another pattern that I ran across, and I don't remember where I ran across this pattern, but I remember a couple of weeks ago stumbling upon it somewhere on Ravelry and thinking, wow, I really like that. And hear me out, because it's not the typical pattern that I normally like, but I think that's why I like it. So this is, I believe, what you're going to call like a bat wings shirt, maybe. I believe that's what the technical term is going to be for it. But this is called the Crankle Tunic. So can you guys see that? Now, I love this because the sample knit is done, I believe, in like a coral color and a black. And I love the asymmetricalness of it, but I also kind of really like how that arm is. It's very pretty and very unique, and I think it would offer a very kind of creative way to use different color yarns, especially high contrasting yarns. So it says that the sizes available are between extra small and 8XL. So it says straight tunic. Oh, it's dolman sleeves. I'm sorry. Okay, it says straight tunic with 4 to 7 inches of positive ease, V-neck and long dolman sleeves. Asymmetrical shoulder slope and offset sleeves allow for a better fit, especially in large sizes. This tunic is decorated with a vertical panel. The garment is knit in one piece sideways flat. Start at the side of the decorative panel, including the neck opening. Work the right half of the garment all the way to the cuff. Pick up the live stitches of the panel and cast on, and work left half asymmetrically. So that sounds like a pretty unique construction. Yeah, I just thought that that was a really nice top. It's very pretty. I really like looking for patterns that are different. Just patterns that are different, or patterns that will allow you to use crazy colors or calm colors. Do you know what I mean? You could do anything with this. This is a blank slate. And when you're done with it, you would have a very unique looking garment. It is knit in fingering weight yarn, and the gauge is 22 stitches and 30 rows is 4 inches in stockinette. Oh, the yarn is a sport weight linen. It says the sample was knit out of Quince & Co. Sparrow, 100% linen, in colorways Fundy and Penny. So it's blue and orange. It's not black and orange. I feel like the blue is pretty dark though, which is why I thought that it was black. Okay. So this next pattern came out this last week, and full disclosure, if you know me, you know that any pattern that is called Light Bright, I'm probably going to love. So this was Light Bright. It's released by Woolen Pine this week, and it's just a really cute shirt, and it's color work where you're basically fading down. And the colored pictures are so pretty, so I hope I'm showing you guys them. But it is knit in DK weight yarn, and the gauge is 20 stitches and 24 rows is 4 inches. So sizes available are 30 to 70 inches. So Woolen Pine does have really good video tutorials with their patterns. So it says that this one includes a video tutorial. It's seamless. It has short rows. There's a written pattern and a chart. So Light Bright is here to make your stash dreams come true. Think of it as your knitting playground, fun, colorful, and full of possibilities. This sweater is all about celebrating your creativity with approachable color work that's simple to knit and totally stash friendly. Add a dash of speckled skeins, a sprinkle of solid, or blend them into a gradient that makes you smile every time you pick up your knits. This is just the kind of project that keeps you saying one more round. Now, if you read the little box on Ravelry, it says, take control of your fade. Our handy fade table makes creating your dream gradient a breeze. Whether you're envisioning a bold 5-color fade, a sleek minimalist look, or experimenting with custom blends, this guide has you covered. No math anxiety required. Simply plug in the number of colors you want to use, and the easy formula will help you calculate the perfect row spacing for seamless transitions. It even includes tips for matching fades across the body and sleeves to keep your look cohesive. Oh, I could have used something like that on my daughter's Christmas sweater, because I had my own way of fading and it came out fine, but it's always better whenever you just put your numbers in and like somebody else tells you what to do so you don't have to think. It's always more smooth that way, because I know that like when I was knitting my son's Christmas sweater, or at times my daughter's Christmas sweater, I would have to pull out a row or two and kind of rework what I was doing, but that's fine. It's all part of the process. Okay, so I was very excited about that one. Okay, now I am going to show you this. It is called the Latvian loop. This is a free pattern, and I think that it's really cute. I want to make this longer, and I think that would make it easier for me to wear. It would be more of something that I'd like to wear that way. So I would make mine a little longer, but I love the color work on this. It's so pretty. It's just, I've gotten like in a very big color work era right now. Yeah, I guess that's how we're gonna say it. But I think that it is just very pretty. So it says, this two-sided stranded cowl incorporating traditional Latvian motifs. It can be worn in multiple ways, making it seem like several different cowls. This can be knit by holding multiple strands of lace weight yarn together or using a fingering weight alone. So this design uses a motif with a large repeat on one side and a small repeat on the other, and reverses the background colors between sides. This gives a shadowed look with varying complexity to the loop. The cowl is knit in the round as a long tube, then Kitchener stitched used to create the final seam. So it also says the large motif has long floats. However, knitters who are less experienced with stranded knitting can create a striking loop using only the smaller motif and reversing the colors on each side. So basically what they're saying is that with the big motif, it's got longer floats. So if you don't want to do that, you can obviously use the smaller motif and just reverse the colors, one on each side. But I love the idea of making a very long cowl, knit in the round, and then the best part about this whole thing is that you're working in the round, and once you seam it up, your ends, poof, they're gone. You don't even, I mean, I would obviously secure them in enough, but they definitely don't have to be perfect, right? So I love this idea. That it would be an excellent way. That would be, I just think that it's really cool. So that is a free pattern by Renee Burton, and I wanted to show it to you guys. Okay, so this is another pattern that I ran across, and this is the Bubble Wrap by Suzanne Nielsen. Now, I love this because do you see how it fits? It goes right over your shoulders. And I don't even, I want to call this a shoulder warmer. And I'm sure that there's a better word for it. So if you guys know, please leave a comment down below and correct me. Because I feel like shoulder warmer is a good way to describe it. But I'm sure there's a different, a correct word to use. So it says, this pattern is designed for the Jade Sapphire coloring box, which contains 10 luxurious colors of cashmere. If that is out of your budget, this is a perfect project to use up leftovers. Choose 10 different colors, or choose one color for the background and 5 different ones for the bubbles, or choose just 2 contrasting colors, or the possibilities are endless and I can't wait to see what you come up with. It says heavy fingering or light sport weight yarn will work best. This pattern is written in just one size, but if you want to pull it down over your shoulders and need the bottom circumference to be more than 42 inches, I am happy to send you adjustments. I love the way that she's wearing it right there. Because I've always said that it would be really hard for me to kind of manage like a big shawl being in a wheelchair, but like this right here, this is like a perfect garment for people in a wheelchair. So that's something for me to think on. Plus, how many different cool color combinations could you make from that pattern? Like, my mind, of course, goes to like black and pink, or black and neon green, and pink, and ultraviolet. So yeah, you guys see where my head is. So I saw this pattern originally on Belinda's Bobbles podcast. So it was her Advent video, and she was talking about different crochet or knit projects that you can use with your Advent, and I've been obsessed with this pattern since. This is called Miss Fezziwig, a crocheted Advent wrap by Dawn Barker. So I love this. Now I know I realized that I just said that it would probably be pretty difficult for me to manage a wrap like this, but that is okay because I'm stubborn, and I feel like if I made it, I would probably use it as I would make it wider and use it as a blanket. But where's the picture that I want? Right here. Okay. So I love the motif on this, and I feel like it would be easy to make it wider. And I love what am I trying to say? I will be able to use so many different colors, and this is an Advent pattern, and it's crochet, and I really like the stitch motif, and I just feel like it would make a really cool blanket. So it says the yarn weight is fingering, And the yardage is between 2,400 and 2,500 yards. The sizes available are one size. So worthy of its joyful and generous namesake, Miss Fezziwig is a beautiful rectangular crocheted wrap featuring a spiked granny chevron stitch. So this colorful wrap is not designed to be an advent crochet along, so relish the rhythm of stitches while you enjoy revealing a new color each day in December, without the pressure of finishing by December 25th. So this was released for Barker Wool Advent Collection. I just think this one is really pretty. So yeah, I'm thinking of taking one of my Advents and making this with it. I just don't know yet, so we'll have to see. And we'll have to see because I'm going to show you another Advent pattern. And this Advent pattern I saw by watching Soxy Nana Alice, and she mentioned it in her latest video, and I thought that it was really cute. So this is called Creative Infinity Scarf by Rachel O'Connor. So this is an Advent infinity scarf, and not only are you changing colors, but you're changing textures too. So I just wanted to mention this one because I thought that it would be really cool to do as well. So it says that it has dropped stitches, slip stitches, Kitchener lace. It's seamless, textured, and a written pattern. So it uses fingering weight yarn, and the gauge is 22 stitches and 32 rows is 4 inches. This infinity scarf was mainly created for yarn advent calendars. However, the sample was knit using 24 10-gram minis in fingering weight yarn to show the size of scrap yarn. The usual 24 20-gram minis will be almost double the size unless held double. That's a good size right there. That's actually kind of the size that I would make that Latvian cowl. Because I would like to double or even triple it, right? Anyways, I thought that it was cool. Okay, now, I promise I'm not going to show you a bunch of patterns today that I saw from other podcasts, but I am kind of going to show you some of them. So do you remember how I just mentioned Soxy Nana Alice? So she has done a test knit, and it's called the H Sweater, and it's by Beatrice Macy. All of the information and all of the designer information will be up on the screen. And I thought that this is a really cute sweater. So this recently came out. It came out this month actually, and I believe it came out last week. So it has a bunch of really pretty color work in it. And it is knit in fingering weight yarn, and the gauge is 30 stitches and 35 rows. So the H is a boxy. I can't talk today, I'm sorry. H is a boxy sweater knit top down, combining 2-color colorwork and textured stitches. So the bust circumference is between 32 and 64 inches. It's designed with 4 inches of positive ease, and it uses fingering weight yarn. So the yardage approximation is, let's see, what do we have here? We've got, I'm trying to see where she sums it up. So the first color you're going to use between 564 to 880 yards. And the second color you're going to use between, let's just say 1,100 yards and 1,700 yards. So I thought that that was a nice pattern worth mentioning too. And I will make sure to link all of these so that you guys can check them out. Okay, now this came out from Andrea Gaughan this week, and it is called the Belle Mulette Pullover by Andrea Gaughan, and it is knit in Aran weight yarn. So this is an all over cable sweater and texture. I'm trying to see. So it says that it's got a modified drop sleeve. And in my head, when I see one of these patterns, especially with Aran weight, I'm always trying to figure out what type of yarn I would use for it. Because this I'm wearing is worsted weight, and Aran is a little bit thicker, right? Or maybe you can knit worsted at an Aran weight gauge. So many decisions. Okay, so it says that it's top down, it's worked in the round and in flat, and she's doing a knit along. So the Ravelry pattern page has a 20% off coupon, and if you feel like knitting it, you can join the knit along that she's hosting. That's going to have prizes. And this is just a really pretty cabled sweater. And when she reached out for test knitting on her newsletter, I really thought about doing it, but I didn't know what yarn I would use to make it, which is why I held off on that, and I didn't jump at the chance, because she runs really awesome test knits. Okay, so it says the Belle Mulette Pullover is a cabled pullover inspired by traditional Irish sweaters. Named after the town in Ireland my grandparents lived before they moved to the United States. This design is a nod to my generations of knitting ancestors and to my grandmother who first taught me to knit. Okay, side note, if I am saying this wrong, I very deeply apologize. I have never heard of this town before, and I'm probably very much butchering the name, and I'm sorry. It says, with a top-down construction, modified drop shoulder fit, and shoulder shaping, this sweater blends the classic Aran sweater style with a modern fit and construction. This gender-neutral design includes 2 fit options as well as guidance on further modifying sleeves and body lengths to suit your own body. So let's take a look at this. I wonder if my son would like that, because I feel like I don't make him as much stuff as I do my daughter, and I feel like he would really like a sweater like this. I feel like I would really like a sweater like this too. But, okay, so I was reached out on Instagram and somebody showed me this pattern and I wanted to share it with you guys. So this is called Reglano, and this is by Nicola Susan, and I believe the person who reached out to me was Recycled Yarn Company. So, and they wanted to mention this because they thought that I would really like it, and they are right, because it is super cute. Okay, let's focus right in on this one right here. Do you see what I love about this one right here? That is a Henley. If I did this pattern, I would totally need to look at her notes and see how she turned it into a Henley. I love Henleys. I don't know if I've ever, well, I'm sure I have, because I have the Timeless Henley that I've knit by Joji Locatelli, but there aren't very many knit Henleys out there. I love the way that Henleys fit though. Okay, back to the pattern. I'm sorry for that interruption. So the cool thing about this pattern is that it is knit in, you can basically use any gauge for it. So it reminds me a lot of a Tin Can Knits pattern in that aspect. It says Reglano is a classic nobody should be without. A seamless raglan sweater that is knit top down. Reglano is a knit raglan. Like I said, words are not doing me well today. Knit Reglano as an airy summer top or cozy turtleneck sweater to keep you warm in winter, or with short or long sleeves, bright or subtle colors with or without stripes, ribbing, textures. With this basic pattern, anything is possible. It says, free yourself from required gauge. Take your favorite yarn and knit as tightly or as loosely as you want. I will take you through step by step with clear instructions, simple formula, and useful tips. So how cool is that? And look, it's a raglan. That is so cool. This is a really pretty sweater though. So I started looking at Nicola Susan's designs because I have never heard of them before, and then I ran across this one. So I wanted to show you this one too, because this is called 4. And the thing that I like about this is that it's a tunic and it has pleats. I think that's what you would call them. So it says 4 begins with a few stitches in the neck and develops into a seamless tunic with classic raglan shoulders and a figure flattering A-line. 4 box pleats give the tunic momentum and an optical stretch. Yes, sorry, I wanted to read about it to make sure it was pleats before I showed you guys. And misspoke again. Sorry, sometimes the terms escape me. Okay. It says, with maximum freedom, you don't need to swatch. Take any yarn you want, compatible needles, and start knitting. So that is cool. You could make this out of lace weight yarn even. Look at how pretty would that be? Oh, I love it. Okay, so we're going on to Knitvent 2024. So this week marked the last week for Knitvent, and I wanted to show you guys the cowl really quick that came out because this was the last pattern. This is the Joyu cowl by Helen Stork, and this is knit in super bulky yarn. So it's just a very small cowl, and immediately when I saw it, I thought I would love to make this into a headband. So can you guys see right there? I thought that would be really cute. Okay, so it's knit in super bulky yarn. The gauge is 9 stitches and 14 rows equal 4 inches. And it's bulky weight yarn. It says it offers a flash of instant joy, or as close to instant as knitting gets. You can pop in a holiday movie, cast on, and probably bind off your finished cowl by the time the credits roll. Knit from just one skein. The Joyu cowl is a perfect project for that single bulky weight treasure lurking in your stash, or the perfect excuse to treat yourself to that irresistibly joyful colorway you've been eyeing. The design is a great match for wildly variegated or speckled yarn, a simple garter stitch base with fun eyelet details to help break up color repeats. So that would be the last Knitvent pattern of the year, which makes me kind of sad in a way because I've had fun kind of going through them, getting a new one or new 2 every week. So I will miss it. I think next year I will take part in it as well, as long as Helen Stewart's still doing it. Okay. So this last one, inadvertently, is that the word I'm looking for? No. Yes, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to use a different word because I don't know. So this last pattern came from me by proxy because my friend Stephanie linked to a designer's pattern page, and she goes, I just saw this on a podcast and they have a bunch of really complicated and really beautiful color work patterns and they're all free. And I'm like, wow. And I am so sorry, I cannot remember whose podcast it was. But Stephanie sometimes comments, and maybe if she does, she'll put it down below. Or if not, the next time I talk to her, I will update the description box with it. So this is the Sprung Hat by Traci Scott. And I just thought that it was so cute. And I love the crown so much. And I thought that that was incredible. It says the pattern is available for free. The Sprung Hat is a charted pattern in which you work 2 color strands of yarn at a time. After making the ribbing on size 2 needles, you switch to size 3 to complete the chart. All yarns are knit from Knit Picks palette line, which is 100% fingering wool. And it says there are 9 colors in this pattern. So that's crazy. It says you need between 210 and 230 yards. And you use fingering weight yarn. 9 colors. Wow. You could take that and knit it with an Advent. Or Advent leftovers, right? It's such a pretty hat. And if you go up here, you can see that there's flowers. Yes. Sorry, it's so hard to tell in black and white, but I know they're flowers because I was looking at the pictures on my computer and it was a lot easier to see there. So hopefully you guys are seeing, you know, the actual colored pictures. But I will also put up a link to the designer Traci Scott's Ravelry store so that you can take a look at all of their patterns because they are all beautiful. There's a bunch of mittens and mitts and hats and cowls, I believe. So many cool things. And color work. I love color work. So I was overloaded by it and I actually kind of bookmarked the page. And I'm like, okay, I'll be back here like all the time. Especially when I'm looking for like a very engaging but quick knit, right? Because I feel like hats check all those boxes. They're color work hats check all those boxes. They're engaging, but they're quick, and they're so pretty. Okay, I'm gonna stop daydreaming. I hope that you guys are having an awesome December. If you are looking to enter for next week's pattern giveaway, don't forget to leave a comment down below. If you could, please give this video a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button, and I would appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. Bye!